Hi there Booktube, it's Eleanor here and it's time again for my Friday reads, what I've read this week and what I'm looking to read next week video. So before I start, I had a really good week. I read 4 things I think this week, but as I say, before I start I want to do my Booktuber shout out. There was quite a few people this week I wanted to shout out and I couldn't decide, but I have decided. And I've picked someone that I actually did a buddy read with, and I did the buddy read and I didn't realise that she had a channel. I found out that she had a channel and I have just binge watched all the videos that she's filmed so far. She's quite a new channel and she's just wonderful. I love her honesty, I love her descriptions when she talks about the books that she's read. She's got some really insightful comments when we did our buddy read, and yeah, she's just really great, and I think she's possibly the most similar in book taste to me out of anyone that I've met on Booktube. Her name is Diana and her channel is Dee's Journey, and she is just brilliant. She's got the most beautiful purple hair at the moment, and I love all of her tattoos, and she's just so interesting and quirky, and I love her channel, and I definitely recommend checking her out and showing her some love. So let's move on to the books that I've read this week. The first book is one that I was reading, had started last week and telling you how much I loved, and that is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. Now, if I tell you that this book is going on my shelf and I am not giving it away, that might give you a clue to how much I enjoyed this story. This book has definitely lived up to my Paradox series expectations. It is way up there with that series for me. If you didn't know, I'm obsessed with Rachel Bach's Paradox trilogy, which is Fortune's Pawns, Honour's Knight and Heaven's Queen. I absolutely love that trilogy, and this is a contender with those to being my favourite book of the year. I loved its science fiction elements, I loved the world building, I loved the different species, the science and techie side of it. It was just such a riveting and exciting read. The story is about Rosemary. She joins a ship, a spaceship called the Wayfarer. So the ship that she's joined, the Wayfarer, is a tunnelling ship, and it's got loads of different species on, so we find out about those and we get to visit a lot of their homelands, and they're given this particular job to do, and it's just about how this job comes about. There's a bit of politics, there's a bit of sort of planetary exploration, there's some just really good species, and it's not even world building, it's universe building, and she's built such a rich and varied universe that she could write another story in this universe, and I would read it in a heartbeat. I just think this universe is so complex and so well thought out that you could follow a number of different stories or people within this universe and it still be riveting. So I gave this one 5 stars and I can't recommend it enough. I was lucky enough to get this sent to me by the publisher. I think it's now been released, so yeah, check it out. If you can't get it at the library, but I really suggest, if you like science fiction, if you've read the Paradox trilogy and you liked that, this is a book for you. And if my recommendation wasn't enough, I know that Caitlin at Kitty G absolutely adores this book too, and she reads a lot more science fiction and fantasy. In fact, her channel is predominantly science fiction and fantasy, and she loved it as much as me too. So that is very, very high praise indeed from her, and I hope some of you decide to give it a go. The next book I picked up was The Bone Clocks by David Mitchell. I haven't actually got it here because it's gone off to my charity shop already. That's not because I didn't enjoy it. In fact, I was pleasantly surprised. When I hear David Mitchell, I get a bit nervous. I've heard that his book, The Cloud Atlas, is quite difficult and it has mixed opinions. I hear that people find it confusing. Some people love it. I've just had mixed things, and I'm always a bit nervous when it comes to sort of literary fiction and books that have won prizes. For some reason I always expect them to be hard to read, but that's often not the case. So it's a really bad sort of stigma on my part, really, a stereotype, thinking that all books are going to be really difficult if they've won a prestigious prize or they're literary. So I need to snap myself out of that, because I've read a few recently that I've been really surprised and pleasantly surprised about. This book had some magical realism, supernatural elements to it. It was told over a long timeline. It was set in 6 parts, I think, if I remember correctly. And we start in sort of 1984 and we finish in like 2040 something. So we're going from the past to the present to the future, and it's really interesting. The writing style is really engaging, and we follow numerous characters throughout this time and numerous points of view, but ultimately we're following one girl in her journey through it all. And Holly is a really interesting character. We follow her from when she's about 16, 17 all the way up till she's an old lady. And there were times, if you read this book and you decide to give it a go, you're starting in the first 2 or 3 parts, you're thinking, there's something supernatural going on here, but it doesn't make sense to me and I don't really understand. And then I urge you to continue, because part 5, I think it is that one of the longest parts in the book, really explains all the supernatural elements and makes it really exciting. And I think about halfway through the book I was gripped and I couldn't put it down. I'm now keen to try some more Mitchell, and I ended up giving this book 4 stars. After such a whopping big book, I decided to move on to a graphic novel. I managed to get Lazarus Volume 2 from my library, so I picked this one up and I wasn't disappointed. I really enjoyed this. I'm really loving this series. It's been a really pleasant surprise for me. It's one that I hadn't heard of. I saw it on Kitty G's channel and picked it up, and I loved the first volume, and this one was no different. I also gave this one 5 stars. I won't talk too much about this particular one because obviously it's part 2, but it continues where part 1 left off. The story is about a world where you have families that look after certain sectors, and they have a Lazarus, each family, which is a sort of genetically modified and enhanced person who is a member of their family, who is kind of like their assassin, their protector. And we follow Forever, who is the Carlisle family's Lazarus, and we're just following what's going on in this dystopian world. There's sort of family feuds and political intrigue, and what I liked about this one is we joined some more characters who I hope their threads will continue through the next books. Also, what I liked is at the beginning of every section of this one we saw Forever and her past and how she came to be the Lazarus, so in a flashback, and I found that really interesting as well. So if you haven't picked this up and you think it sounds interesting, I definitely recommend it highly. And then the final book I completed was my buddy read with the lovely Diana at Dee's Journey, who is my shout out for this week, and we decided to read Dark Eden by Chris Beckett together. I didn't know anything about this book. The back doesn't really tell you an awful lot, and it was an interesting read. I don't think I ended up enjoying it quite as much as Diana did, but I did still enjoy it. The basic premise of the book is that we follow multiple points of view, so each chapter is a different point of view. I think there's probably about 5, 6, 7 characters that we follow that skip between different points of view. We're in a place where there is a group of people, they call themselves the family. It made me think very much of cavemen. They're trying to survive, they have rules and regulations, they have a history which they tell each other orally all the time, and it's about one young boy who is 15 that has different views on what they should be doing, who wants to sort of push boundaries and check new things out and has ideas which the family consider above his station, and it's following sort of him ultimately in finding out where they are on this world, what there is in other sections of the world, what this place Eden is that they live. And it was good. For me, one of the downsides was that it wasn't a satisfying ending for me. For me, one of the other problems was there's too much emphasis on what they call slipping, which is having sex, and it just felt like there was too much of this in here. However, if in caveman times I have no idea if in caveman times this is how things were, so it's possible that the writer was thinking about this in terms of the type of people and how they might be going off more of an animal instinct. But there was parts of it that made me feel uncomfortable, but I think that's possibly how you're meant to feel. So I did enjoy it, but because of the unsatisfying end and my little bit of a problem with the amount of sexual stuff in here that didn't seem relevant, I gave this one 3 stars. So on to the books that I'm planning on reading next week. The first book which I'm about to start today is Soulless by Gail Carriger. This is a reread for me. I read it a long time ago, but I'm planning on reading the rest of the series with Dorka Brain next month, so I wanted to read this to just remind myself of the story because it has been quite a long time. So I'm reading this starting today. I'm also doing a buddy read with the lovely Katie at Kit Kats Can Read, and we are going to be reading The Hit by Melvin Burgess. I'm doing a buddy read with a number of different booktubers, and we are reading Sarah Waters' The Little Stranger. I'm going to be reading another book with a load of booktubers, The Vor by B. Caitling. And finally, I'm going to be trying, if that wasn't enough, to get to Storm Dancer by J. Christoph, because I have the second book out from the library and I want to make sure that I can get them both read so that book can go back when the date comes up. So I'm going to try and get to this one too. And actually, those are my books for the rest of the month. That's all the books on my TBR for the rest of the month. So hopefully I can get through these. And then next month I will be doing something a little bit different for me, but you will find out about that in my September TBR video. So that's it for me for this week. I hope you enjoyed this, and make sure you check out Dee's journey because her channel is brilliant and she deserves lots and lots of booktubing love. I'll leave her links down below. Okay, well I look forward to hearing from you soon. Let me know what you've read this week, what you've enjoyed. Have you read any 5-star books? I always like to know to add to my wish list. And I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now, Booktube.